This is one of the most badass Navy admirals I've ever heard of. Admiral Richard H. Jackson. So in 1889 in Samoa, off the harbor of this little town called Apia, there was this horrible tropical cyclone. I mean, it was devastating. And in that harbor were ships from both American and German forces. They had already been in a standoff for months over their own interests during the Samoan Civil War. But that storm began obliterating all of the ships. The winds were so strong that some of the ships had 3 anchors dropped and it did nothing. The wind was like, fuck you, blew them around like little ragdolls. And at one point, the wind started pushing one of the ships, the USS Trenton, directly towards another US naval ship. Needless to say, if these ships smashed into each other, that would be it for the cruise. And the sails were destroyed by the storm, so the USS Trenton couldn't just raise their sails and hope to redirect the ship. So just as the crews from both ships were about to accept their fate and go down with their ships, a young naval cadet named Richard H. Jackson led 20 men into the rigging and formed a human sail. They got all tightly packed into the rigging, and that created just enough resistance against these violent winds. They managed to veer the USS Trenton onto land and just beach it, saving the crews of both of those ships from impending doom. So Jackson was obviously hailed as a hero, but here's the thing. A few months later, he placed 25th in his examination to be commissioned to the Navy, but there were only 23 spots available. But at this point, the guy's a fucking legend. So the Navy persuades Congress to pass legislation, special congressional act that committed him as an ensign to the Navy. He retired decades later as a 4-star admiral of the Navy. If you think old age and retirement slowed old boy down, he still had some feistiness up his sleeve and the media ate it up. He happily gave his opinions on the Navy enacting more relaxed restrictions and regulations on hair and beard length, women's fashion, even a bridge that was constructed near his house. He'll just fucking row across, okay? He doesn't need your goddamn bridge. He also found time for his 3 favorite G's, gardening, golfing, and gallivanting all night. He was forced to slow down at 91 because his caretakers had to take away his bicycle. He was bicycling too recklessly and blowing through stop signs. But no matter how old and frail he got, he sat up straight whenever a woman entered the room and charmed the hell out of any woman who visited him, calling her honey and darling. At the time of his death, at 105 years old, this old character, he was the only Navy ensign to be commissioned through congressional intervention and also the Navy's oldest living admiral. Now that's a full life. To hear the full harrowing account and unbelievable actions and heroics by not only Admiral Jackson, but so many others at the 1889 Apia typhoon, tune into this week's Deep Blue Diaries because I'm telling you, this is one of the most insane stories I've ever uncovered.